It's been almost 13 years since the idea and development of TEXT2DRIVE was conceived. Going from an untested concept to the auto industry's #1 text platform was a tough but an inspiring journey. Let's see what that road really looked like. TEXT2DRIVE was the concept and creation of a father and son team and their partner, Chuck Kubiak. Greg Owen and Greg C. Owen, his son, had worked together in the auto marketing space for over 12 years. They began their careers working together in 1996 in Chicago. Greg C. was 15 years old at that time. Uncle and brother Jay Owen wanted to create a unique auto advertising magazine that incorporated color-classified vehicle photos and effective write-ups. By the way, in 1993, Jay directed the sales team for the Chicago Tribune's new Auto Finder magazine that eventually became Cars.com. On that sales team was Greg C.'s mother, Marilyn Owen, who was their #1 rep. Autofocus became the largest revenue-generating single-market auto book in the U.S., with sales revenue for 1 year of over $10 million. Jay sold the magazine in 2000, and Greg remained as the publisher of the magazine, and Greg C. became a sales representative. In 2002, Greg and Greg C. decided it was time to venture out on their own. Together, they created or co-created 5 auto magazines in 5 very unique markets. In 2005, Rebecca Hoffman and Brian Harrison joined the team at Auto Guide Milwaukee. In 2010, Norm Crawford was recruited to handle data input at Auto Guide Colorado. Lori Becker, Chief Relations Officer at TEXT2DRIVE, was also the first General Manager of Auto Guide Colorado in 2007. In the winter of 2008, a guy asked to see the Gregs and Chuck at their office in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. His name was Matt, and he said that he liked their auto magazine, Auto Guide Colorado, but that they should consider using text to give shoppers an easier way to find a car. Matt had brought 2 flip phones to the meeting. Matt told him he was going to text audio 8 to 66984. He called 66984 a short code. What's a short code? When he texted audio 8 to 66984 on his red flip phone, the gray flip phone showed the red flip phone's number, and that this car shopper was getting information on the dealer's 2008 Audi. When the customer texts for more information, they would receive 1 photo and a hyperlink to the dealer's website. If the customer did not have the internet on their phone, they could not access the additional information. Now that wasn't good. When Matt was asked how the dealer would contact the customer, Matt replied, well, they'd have to call the customer, of course. Again, not good. So the Gregs sought out a developer who could create a 2-way business-to-customer text protocol. Guess what? He was right in their backyard, Greg C.'s cousin, Joe Battagliero. By the late spring of 2008, they had succeeded. They had a 2-way text messaging platform. There were no competitors in 2008 that could offer a business-to-consumer text program that had the ability to 2-way text. This was the first promo ever created for their new business. They had to use a leased shortcode because it took months to secure a shortcode in 2008. Greg C. suggested that they attempt to reserve the shortcode 37483. He had determined that 37483 on a phone's keyboard spelled out the word drive. Thus the name TEXT2DRIVE was born. But it just didn't look right, so the word TO was dropped in favor of the number 2. That's right, Greg C. had come up with the name of what would become a very amazing product. They used their auto magazine, Auto Guide Colorado, to test their belief that texting to obtain vehicle information was the future of auto buying and customer communication. Customers would text the stock number of vehicle in their magazine to the shortcode 37483. Car shoppers would receive 3 vehicle photos, a vehicle landing page, and open a live text chat with the dealer. The concept from 2009 to 2011 worked so well that large dealer groups would offer customers the option of calling or texting to view vehicle photos and information from a newspaper single-line ad. Now, a single-line ad in a newspaper could turn into an entirely new experience for a car shopper. Consumers could text a vehicle stock number to Drive 37483 and receive a vehicle landing page, 3 photos, a brief description, and connect instantly via text with the dealer's sales department. But there were numerous doubters back in the beginning years of TEXT2DRIVE. Many dealers were very skeptical of the entire concept and more than once told Greg Owen, who was the only TEXT2DRIVE salesperson at the time, that the whole thing was a really dumb idea. After all, they would say, only kids text. They told Greg time and time again. Never one to give up, Greg pushed on until dealers began to realize how wrong they were. Now they'd say that they always thought it was a great idea. The Gregs had to not only deal with dealers who thought only kids text, but also with the most tightly regulated communication law ever enacted. Because of this law, in 2012, the business of text messaging on behalf of auto dealers almost came to a screeching halt. Lithia, a large publicly traded auto group, was sued for sending out text marketing messages and fined $2,500,000. Greg Owen, TEXT2DRIVE's CEO and attorney, made the case that TEXT2DRIVE was not engaged in text marketing, but delivered only informational and/or transactional text messages to a dealer's customers. One of their customers told them in late 2014 that his dealership had lost $50,000 in the third quarter because CSI scores were not where they should have been. Their GM said that they attempt to call every customer that no one ever answers their phone. He indicated that without surveys being replied to by happy customers, they were getting killed on CSI. Quote, Greg, you need to have a program send out text messages to our service customers, he said. TEXT2DRIVE's entry into the service and parts department within dealerships was a true pivot from their initial foray into auto dealers' sales departments. The Gregs and Chuck recognized the value TEXT2DRIVE could bring to a dealer's service and parts departments. Additional developers were retained, and they began the challenging task of recreating what they did and how they did it. Within a short period of time, TEXT2DRIVE had an all-new interface just for service and parts departments. At times, it was necessary to demonstrate to dealers what their service customers were experiencing. Frustration for being placed on hold and never being able to get a hold of their service advisor. This promotional brochure from 2015 made the point literally that customers were frustrated with auto service departments and the poor communications that existed. In early 2015, contact had been made with the FCA Chrysler West Region, but the sales rep for TEXT2DRIVE, who was handling the initial communication, was spending more time with his fishing charter service than working for TEXT2DRIVE. The Gregs were together in San Diego, California when they obtained the fishing charter information. They decided that they would drive to Phoenix, Arizona, walk into the FCA office, and apologize for the lack of action on the part of the TEXT2DRIVE sales rep. And that's exactly what they did. Greg and Greg C. walked into a conference room at the Mopar region of FCA in Phoenix, Arizona, and were met by 8 staff members who were having a meeting. They asked, "Who are you guys?" The Gregs replied, "We're here to apologize for our sales rep. We just found out he had a fishing charter service and not doing anything for TEXT2DRIVE." Regional Manager Ron Horn replied, "This sounds like a good story. Sit down and tell us more." The true growth of TEXT2DRIVE was about to begin. TEXT2DRIVE became the go-to text provider for FCA Chrysler across the country. Ron Horn and FCA saw the value of TEXT2DRIVE messaging, included TEXT2DRIVE in all FCA go-to-market meetings throughout the Western region. As TEXT2DRIVE began to return amazing results for numerous FCA dealers, they were invited to FCA 20 group meetings across the country. No vendor had ever been invited to present at the majority of these 20 group meetings. Greg Owen, Chuck Kubiak, Matt Meehan, and Greg C. Owen are seen leaving their meeting at the FCA headquarters, Auburn Hills, Michigan, spring 2016. Things were looking up.
In the fall of 2016, Greg Owen was asked to be a featured speaker at the FCA National Meeting in Las Vegas, Nevada. From 2016 to the present, TEXT2DRIVE has experienced extremely rapid growth and captured significant market share in their vertical. Dealer customers had finally realized the value of business-to-consumer text communication and the outstanding revenue generation attainable with TEXT2DRIVE. These numbers speak for themselves. The TEXT2DRIVE leadership team is comprised of the most talented players in the text communications vertical. The sales team at TEXT2DRIVE has become extremely energized like never before with the addition of David Taggart, VP of Sales. Kristen Owen Gates, TEXT2DRIVE's top producing sales rep, has taken on additional responsibilities with OEMs and major dealer accounts. The TEXT2DRIVE customer success team are the true ambassadors of TEXT2DRIVE. They ensure dealer retention and played a significant part in maintaining and even growing TEXT2DRIVE's business during the early stages of the pandemic. Making certain that dealers are activated and running well is the mission of the TEXT2DRIVE support team. Rebecca Hoffman, the team leader, has been working with the Gregs since 2005. She and her team appreciate the need to be available when their customers need assistance. Without Matt Meehan and his amazing team of project engineers, there could not be a TEXT2DRIVE. The development team provides TEXT2DRIVE with the features that always keep them ahead of any competitor. There are 5 former team members and many others who contributed greatly to the success of TEXT2DRIVE. We wanted to recognize their contributions. Chuck Kobiak was our co-founder and directed development for many years at TEXT2DRIVE. Joe Batigliero, at a very young age, helped create our first chat client. Joe Willicke, who was our lead back-end developer, without him, TEXT2DRIVE would not be what it is today. Nicole Ruiz, Director of Sales from 2015 to 2019. Nicole helped drive TEXT2DRIVE sales from a dealer contingent of 700 to 1,500. She literally spoke TEXT2DRIVE. Carmen Taglia, CEO of Tag Marketing. Carmen and his team provided and created all of our marketing and sales material from 2010 to 2020. He designed our logos, improved our SEO dramatically, and was always there when we needed him. Thanks, Carm. With superior customer service, we revolutionized the way automotive dealers communicate by providing easy-to-use and revenue-generating features while enhancing the customer experience.
Hi, Greg C. here. I just want to thank everybody that's working with us now and that has worked with us in the past. These last 10, 12 years of growing TEXT2DRIVE in what it is today has been absolutely amazing. And again, I just want to thank everyone from 2008 to 2020 who's with us now, who's with us before. Thank you for all the hard work and dedication you have done to make TEXT2DRIVE the #1 text communication platform in the automotive industry. Thanks again.
Like my son Greg C., I'm also very thankful and grateful to everyone who joined our team over the years to help build TEXT2DRIVE into the finest text communication platform in the auto industry. The journey was not easy, but the satisfaction we felt when we knew that auto dealers finally got it made it all worthwhile. Now, we fell off that proverbial horse many, many times, but we always dusted ourselves off and got back on and continued to move forward. Now, if there's any message I can convey in all this from my own personal experience, is this. When you get that feeling deep inside you and you have the skill set to execute on it, don't let anyone or anything divert you from your mission. Don't ever give up. You can make it happen. Thank you.